Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Yesterday we did a Patreon exclusive, holding light and hope, but not falling for the BS, because there's a lot of BS that we've been going through all of our lives.
A lot, and it's getting picked apart right now.
Yes. We only have 15 days left in this year. 15 days. Do you know next year is the semi-quincentennial. Yes, say that 20 times fast. 1776 to 2026. 250 years, they tell us, that the United States has been here on the planet.
And times are changing.
They sure are. You know, a lot of people have equated the U.S. with the modern day Babylon. In fact, I did a video about that, and I initially put it up in 2017, and it was taken down, and then I tweaked a few things and put it back up in January of 2018, and I shared what I felt was coming, and it's basically everything that we're watching right now. There's a lot that has to happen. It just has to, but there's a lot of details which we still can affect. I do think that the fall of the USA is just part of what's been written into the script. I think it's part of the programming.
Well, it has to be. Things need to change because the frequencies are changing, the ether is changing. So things are going to happen in our 3D world to move and shift with this new frequency we're getting.
Yeah, and people are waking up in droves, and yet there are still a lot of sleepwalking zombies on the planet. Look at this. Is this symbolic or not? When I saw this, it was like, wow, this is just, again, whether it's a message from the elementals, Mother Earth, the Great Father in the sky, whether it's just a freak storm, I don't think there's just plain old accidents. I don't think there's coincidences. I really think everything has some meaning when we look deeper into it.
Well, I think this is huge. I think it's really huge. I think we are all fixing to go through a certain type of initiation. Looking at the torch, the false light and the idea that we had freedom. That was all an illusion. And this has now toppled. I think it speaks very clear.
Well, what people are starting to realize is if you take the exact opposite of what we're given by the dark matrix control system, you're going to be closer to the truth than what they give us. So again, when you look to the United States, beacon of light and hope, and, again, give me your huddled masses, all that's, there at Ellis Island, I think, again, we can look to actual facts and see the U.S. has been at war almost the entirety of its existence. Only a few years has it not been at war. And it came about at the expense of the indigenous people that were living here already. They were established in their lives. They had their own society, which was swept away. And then now we're actually watching perhaps the beginning of sweeping away of what we've known as the United States of America. Yet this is just what has gone on for the entirety of what we would call the Kali Yuga.
I wanted to sit with this for a minute because think about the world the way it was before it was populated the way it is. These people were into their daily lives. They had their daily routines. They had their systems set up. They had either trade or some type of currency they used for energy exchange. They were established, had families, had rituals, had all the things that we have today. In an unseen force, an unseen hand, although it's written, certain things are written in our history books, I don't believe them. There was an unseen force that came through and just completely wiped them out to reseed with what we have today. So what makes us any different than all of those beings so long ago? there's nothing that makes us any different. We are established. We have rituals. We have culture. We have families, children's established ways. We're no different than they are. So we are up for grabs just like any other culture. And that's why I think we need to pull together where we can.
Something was telling me, look up this place in Brazil, because this is in Brazil, Guaíba, Brazil. It's interesting because it literally is named, its name means Bay of All Waters, which we could take, again, the United States surrounded by the, Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic Pacific. We have waters surrounding us. And when you look at it, it has a significant colonial history tied to Portuguese expansion, and Azorean settlers played a key role in 19th century revolution, with its origins as the village of Pedras Brancas. Today it's known for cultural sites, but yes, this particular town, archaeological finds show that this was settled going back to 6000 BC. And yet, what did it have? It suffered colonial expansion, which is, again, what's happened to everybody that was here in the Americas. It's truly a joke and a travesty to say that Columbus discovered anything but economic opportunity.
More like they discovered Columbus lost.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, again, a place that has seen colonial conflicts. So the end of colonialism in the Americas, I think it's the end of a lot of things. This is so symbolic. Again, we could spend hours just going into the symbolism of quote unquote Lady Liberty herself. I think it feels big. It just feels big. As you could see, people were, I think, a little surprised by this event, and she's leaning pretty strongly right there. And then she goes. Very symbolic. But when you look at it, 2026, again, 250 years, again, they tell us, because we haven't been here, none of us have been here the entire 250 years. So we're going off the historical records that we have, which we understand history is written by the victors. And the other thing is it's constantly being rewritten. And so we need to understand that it's constantly being rewritten. So this was a 79-foot replica of the Statue of Liberty. I looked it up just to make sure this really did happen. This replica was installed in 2020. And it really did fall down December 15th, 2025, due to severe storms with wind gusts exceeding 90 kilometers an hour. That's not really that strong. Certainly it's not hurricane strength. So, interesting. The timing, I think it's very significant. The other thing to remember is the USA Pluto return happened between 2022 and 2024. And, February 22nd, 2022. And I swear there was a Mandela effect moment when the Ukrainian revolution, I think it started exactly at that time, but they say it happened a couple days off in the official history books. But, starting the Ukrainian thing, whatever you want to call it, again, Russia's intrusion into Ukraine, again, where they provoked, NATO keeps expanding every year. It's been expanding every year. And, again, it's just part of the bigger drama that we're witnessing. Is there any coincidence that the USA's Pluto return is basically finished now? And, the ending of the Kali Yuga that we get ended on April 8th, 2024. All this goes together. So what's 2026 going to look like? I think 2026 is going to be the accelerated destruction of the old system. I think that's it kind of in a nutshell.
I think people are also going to find their own way. There's a lot of things that may continue to go on. There may not be a huge visible disruption that we can see in the 3D, but I see it in people's hearts and minds and in their lives. They want something different. So it's up to us to make that happen. A lot of times, if we don't take initiative to create the change is not going to happen. It starts with the little guy. It starts with you. It starts with you wanting something different and wanting it bad enough to take steps to change it.
Yes, and we pray that we won't get fooled again. As the Who said, we won't get fooled again. Well, the thing is, the awakening is really, really happening. So not everybody's going to get fooled again. And less people are going to be fooled than have been fooled in the past because of that awakening. And we could thank, truly, we could just thank the sun. The sun is a relay from the one true creative force. The one true God is a term that a lot of people have used throughout the years, but that's just because we're brought up with that term. It's not specific enough. When you have different gods and goddesses, if you just keep using a generic term, you might be given power to something that is very, very much the opposite of the creator of this universe. So we have to mind our words cautiously and carefully, recognize that our language itself is a spell system. And all the time we're given, this language which has been developed carefully in order to have us creating negative spells that are against us and against the planet without even realizing it. There is so much going on, guys. I think that is more than symbolic. I don't think that at the end of 2026, I really don't think the U.S. will be as it was, say at this moment. I think that the divorce is coming in more ways than one. We could ride this storm out by keeping our own frequency high, and that's the thing. The storm's coming. So build up your own frequency barrier around you by your daily practice. Things again like meditation, yoga, Qigong, Vedic mantras are very high frequency things that you can do. Surround yourself in good healing frequencies like 432 and so many of the other solfeggio frequencies, which are going to boost your immune system, clean out your temple. We've been trying to focus so much more on that, and we have a lot planned when it comes to helping you clean out your temple. Prioritize your health, and that's mind, body, spirit. And we could run through this together. It might take a little coffee or tea. It might take a little work, but we can get through this. We absolutely could. And we're going to come out better on the other side. I'm totally convinced of that.
We got this.
We got this. Smell the coffee, and let's get ready for whatever heads our way.
Source bless and namaste.
Much love. Namaste.